Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FA Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am the Director of PR, Social Media, and Events here at First Advantage, and I'm also your host of FA Live. I'm really excited about today's episode. This is one of my favorite episodes that, we continue to do at the organization. And I just want to kick us off by saying that we know Veterans Day is recognized by name here in the United States, but veterans are honored across the globe through multitude of celebrations and holidays. And for today, to all of our veterans around the globe, we thank you for your service. So today we are talking about Veterans Day, and we have two of our very own veterans from First Advantage here with us. We have Amanda Meagher and Mike Loftis, and I'm so happy for them to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to the two of them to introduce themselves, share a little bit about their roles here at First Advantage, and then also share their experience within the military. So Amanda, I will start with you. Welcome to FA Live.
Thank you. My name is Amanda Meagher. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I was in the military for 4 years, left in 2008, and started with First Advantage in 2000. So a little bit about my background. When I was in the military, I worked with the U-2 spy plane. I was part of the 9th Physiological Squadron, and anything to do with the pilot suits and medical treatments, things like that. It was an amazing job, and I miss it some days, but it was a long time ago.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And obviously, thank you for your service. Mike, welcome to FA Live. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Mike Loftis, and I work in Fishers, Indiana, which is just north of Indianapolis, and I am the operations manager for our base vehicle fleet. I spent from 1982 to 2004 in the United States Air Force. I had several jobs along the way. I was a security forces at first, and then retrained into a personnel specialist, and spent my last 9 years in recruiting. And I'm looking forward to next year when I will have been retired for as long as I had served. So go 2026.
Yeah, go 2026 indeed. And Mike, thank you for your service as well. In my conversations leading up to today with Amanda and Mike, I loved hearing about their experiences in the military. And I love talking to all of our veterans at First Advantage because no story is ever the same. And you get to see how detailed and how dynamic the military is and how you can serve in so many different ways. So again, to the both of you, thank you. I loved hearing your stories. And I know we're going to get into a little bit more detail today around Veterans Day, around being in the workforce, that transition and all of that. So we'll kick it off with an overview of Veterans Day. So Amanda, I'll start with you and Mike will follow up. Can you give us a brief overview of Veterans Day and what today means to you?
Sure. In a nutshell, it's to honor all of those who have served in the military. In peacetime and wartime, that's what it is to honor all of those people who sacrifice their life and put their lives on hold to serve the better, the good of the American people. So that's what it means to me.
That was good.
Way to kick us off. We love it.
Yeah. We live in a time where the veteran is generally seen in a positive light, and sadly that hasn't always been the case, and maybe it won't always be the case, but we're living in a good time right now, for the veterans being recognized. To live in a society that sets aside a specific time, to consider and honor the veterans. When I think of a veteran, I think of the person who had personal sacrifice, physical sacrifice, financial sacrifice. And for us to set aside a time for that is quite an honor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's tap into now your experiences, as a veteran. I've got 3 questions around this. So Mike, I'll stay with you to start here.
Okay.
Can you tell us how your experience as a veteran has played such an important role in your current success?
Oh, so many things.
Yeah, that's good.
In the military, the first thing you learn is discipline. you know.
Mhm.
And as you go through your career, you learn how to work through, the personal hard times and still focus on getting the job done. Um, you learn how to work as a team and learn how to ask for help from the team when it's needed. And all of those things and more, I could go on for hours on this topic, but I won't. But all of those things combined really set you up to be successful no matter where you go.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Mike. In thinking about these questions that were coming up, I was thinking about, being 18 years old, signing up for the military, being shipped from Florida all the way to California, well, first Texas and then to California. And for me personally, I was not ready for college at 18. I knew I needed to do something else. I come from a very, very long generations of military in my family. We cover all the branches. And just the discipline that you learn how to become an adult in the military. You have support from your now family, because they do become your family, your coworkers and your friends that you're stationed with. And it's a whole new world that it just gives you that ability to grow as a person, to become responsible, to know that what you're doing affects other people. My job, if I didn't do my job right, someone could have died. And to have that responsibility at 18, 19, 20 years old, and so on, for those who stayed in, that was such an amazing experience. And it comes into play with what we do now. Or for me, my daily job here affects other people's employment, which affects their family, which affects everything in their lives. So it really meshed well for my experience in the military to what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So, Amanda, I'd love to go into that a little bit further because, you brought up responsibility growing up. Mike, you brought up discipline, and you just kind of shared that direct translation from time in the military to now what you're doing here at First Advantage with our customers. Are there any other skill sets that you've taken from your time in the military and that's, translated to either here at First Advantage or elsewhere?
Absolutely. So skill set, just being very mindful of the details. With background screening and drug testing, there are state rules, government rules. I mean, just everything that we have to follow, the FCRA. So there's a lot of things that go into our job that we have to know, and we have to, be that support system for our clients. So that was a huge skill set, learning how to be mindful and organized and multitasked.
Yeah.
So those were huge parts of being, learning in the military and bringing it on to First Advantage.
Mm-hmm. Mike, what are some other skill sets that, you explored as you brought over into working here at First Advantage or elsewhere?
Yeah, well, I'm going to echo the attention to detail. And I think you see that across every discipline in the military. There's a big focus on that. There is also one of the things that I learned in the military is recognizing and respecting the chain of command going both up and down, and recognizing that sometimes your leaders have a little bit bigger picture than you do of the overall mission. And then, of course, as leaders ourselves, we send that down the chain, and we maybe have a little bit bigger picture than them, but trying to communicate that in both directions, and then essentially out to our customer. We may not always totally know everything that's going on, but we know what our part is. And that's something that we learn in the military. Do your part and do it well, and take care of the people that you're supposed to take care of. And I think that translates well when we're customer focused.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So you both have been out of the military for quite some time now. We've both discussed that. And bike year 2026 is the year we're going for. So with that, there was a time where you were entering the workforce for the first time. So I'd love to get your advice for current veterans who are going to be entering the workforce now. So Mike, I'll start with you here, and Amanda, you can follow up.
Um, hmm. So the military has a good reputation for developing leadership skills, but they also do a very good job at developing followership skills. And the advice that I would give somebody going into the workforce is um, you may not be the biggest dog on the campus anymore. Maybe you came to a position where you had all these people, that relied on you for everything. And I would advise someone that's coming from the military into a civilian organization is take advantage of those followership skills that you've developed while looking for the right opportunities to display your leadership skills as well to allow yourself a chance to grow.
And very similar to what I was thinking too. My advice would be to look for a company who values their employees for more than just the work life.
Sure.
And First Advantage is a huge component of that. But yeah, it's just you've got to find a company with structure. You're coming from a very structured life, and you need to find a company who is growing, who has multiple opportunities for growth for you, training opportunities, things like that. So they're just really where it focuses on the employee and making them stronger, overall.
Yeah. So, Amanda, I'll stay with you to kind of dig into that a little bit deeper because you did mention First Advantage and values and things like that. So, how has First Advantage helped you be this successful leader within the organization?
Okay. So there are multiple trainings in First Advantage. I've had incredible mentors throughout my career here, and the amount of support that I have gotten from everyone in leadership. I mean, it from the CEO to my direct supervisor, and talking with them, with Scott Staples briefly at a convention. It's just they're so focused in making sure that all of our employees are happy. And if we have suggestions, they listen. If we have concerns from our employees, our management listens. So it's really given just great opportunity to be part of the company and not just an employee in creating solutions for our clients. One of the big things for me is that I'm a member of our FA Cares team, and it's a volunteer organization. And one of the things that we focused on too was working with Military Connect. And it's a company who helps veterans find jobs in the workplace. So through FA Cares and through MilCon, we give back in multiple ways, charity events. And again, it's just the opportunities that First Advantage has given me to give back has been wonderful. I've been here for many years, so
Yeah.
I'm happy and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, we love to hear, that the company is not only positioning you for success within your day-to-day roles and responsibilities, but they're also positioning you to be successful in what you care about. So clearly working with an organization like Military Connect and all the other wonderful things that FA Cares does, you are able to do that successfully. So I loved, those examples that you had shared. They were really awesome. So Mike, what about you being set up for success here at First Advantage?
Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about the military was the regularly scheduled leadership training, formal training. You go to school and take classes and stuff. And I was pleasantly surprised when I joined First Advantage and started hearing things like SOAR program and Six Sigma. And not only seeing those programs but recognizing leaders that have gone through those programs and that were applying the principles that those programs would teach. That kind of floored me. I wasn't completely expecting that, but I've seen some great examples of leadership since I've been here. I've been here, going on 3 years, and I'm just going to say it, inspiring.
Yeah,
Leadership that I've seen here, and I think that is at least in part in hiring the right people, but also giving them the leadership training that goes along with natural ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I did a personal branding workshop for our mentor program earlier. It was last week. It was late last week. And one of my slides just presented to the team what First Advantage has to offer. And it was everything on there. It was our EIG groups. It was FA Cares. It was SOAR. It was the Lean Six training. So it was, talking about how to build yourself up, but to how to network yourself too. Internally, we've already have all of that. So I love that you both brought up prime examples, because again, it's really about being successful within your day-to-day role, but then also being successful with things that are going to help you get to the next level, what you care about, and everything like that. So thank you both for sharing that. Very much appreciate it. So I have one final question for you, and we have touched on this briefly. We talked about an organization with structure, an organization with values that you can relate to. But what else do you think veterans are looking for when working in a particular organization? And Mike, I will start with you.
I think for a veteran and civilian organization to create a successful partnership, the veteran is going to look for something that has a clearly defined mission, with clearly defined roadsides along the way. One of the things about the military that really motivates people is the opportunity to grow. You see regular promotions, throughout your military career. And an organization that can demonstrate the path and what the veteran is going to have to do, because it's not a one-way street, what the veteran would have to do in order to achieve the professional growth that they would like to see, throughout their civilian career following military.
Ditto. Thanks, Mike, for explaining that perfectly. No, really, it is about when you're leaving the military, at least for me, it was scary. You had all of your housing, you had all of your meals, you were getting paid, everything was very structured. And when you're leaving the military, it's very scary. Not that the military is a guaranteed job, but it's not like they're going to do cutbacks, in a sense, like what happens in regular companies. So to me, I wanted to find something very stable. I was still very young when I first started with First Advantage, which it was another company, and over the years it grew to First Advantage. And so I was really looking for something that was going to last. And, just the way that First Advantage has grown since 2000 is just in leaps and bounds. There's been some dips, there's been, 2008 crisis, and, First Advantage has still been around, and it still gives you that opportunity to be part of a solution. And it just, I don't know, to me, it was stability was really the big thing that, to me, veterans are looking for, because you're coming from a very stable spot.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's good for, those that are tuning in that are maybe in a more like HR position at an organization, kind of what veterans could potentially be looking for. So I think that is good. Because, hey, come on, look at the two I've got on this episode today. Strong people within a company. You want to attract veterans in your workforce. You want to bring them in. with that, today's episode was really awesome. I think the two of you provided such great feedback, advice, not only for veterans that are coming into the workforce, but the example I just shared, those actually hiring those veterans and what to look out for and what to, propose as organizations. And then just the stories for the both of you, your journeys and where you've come, how far you've come over the last couple of years entering the workforce, your time in the military. Truly, truly inspiring conversation. But that was it. That was all the questions I had for the two of you. And again, I really loved today's chat. I thank you, everyone that was able to tune in live. If you are watching on demand as well, thank you for that. I will say thank you to our audience again. And I want to thank Amanda and Mike, not only for joining me on FA Live today, but most importantly, thank you both for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Of course. And with that, I will catch you all on the next episode of FA Live. So thank you, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Of course.